woke up feeling heavy on my last day. The trip had been such an important event in my life for so long, and it was finally coming to an end. For the last 3 days, the brakes on my rental car had begun squealing the way they do when you need to change the brake pads. It started off mild, but it got worse after driving to the Giant's Causeway, so I decided to take my rental car back early so I didn't have to deal with it while driving through Dublin. So I got a cab from the Dublin airport into Dublin. I checked into my room at Bloom's Hotel in the heart of the Temple Bar district and set out in the first rain I had seen since arriving to experience all I could in the city for the 18 hours I had in Dublin. Started at Dublinia, a museum of Viking and medieval Dublin. I've talked about Richard de Clare a bunch throughout my vlogs. He is the Welsh Norman knight who Dermot MacMurrough, King of Leinster, enlisted to help him reclaim his kingdom with the promise of marriage to his daughter Aoife, and the promise he would inherit his lands after his death. Well, it wouldn't be long before Richard would see this promise fulfilled. Dermot died in 1171. Richard then claimed the kingship under the right of his wife, but Dermot's son also claimed it as well under Braham Law. If my research is correct, he and Aoife would be my 24th great-grandparents. I thought it was only fitting to stop by and introduce myself, so to speak. Around 5 years after he and his fellow Normans invaded Ireland, Richard died of some type of infection in his leg or foot, and he was buried in Christ Church Cathedral in Dublin. There is an effigy to Richard, but he is not actually buried in it. It isn't known exactly where in the church he is buried, but according to an eyewitness at the time, it was somewhere in sight of the cross. So, somewhere close to where the effigy is now. maps of Dublin for months, I had a general idea of where I was going, so I set off to find St. Stephen's Green. The National Museum of Archaeology is incredible. It is packed with so many treasures, including ancient jewelry, clothing, and pottery. It also houses two of the famous bog bodies, which are horrific and beautiful at the same time. If you're a bit squeamish, I urge you to look away for a sec. I'm just going to put a photo up here. This is the Gaelic Man, a 20-something-year-old guy who was killed in the Iron Age sometime between 470 and 120 BC. The body had been fixed to the ground with pointed stakes, and a willow withy or willow branch was wrapped around his neck. Researchers believe that this suggests that he might have been strangled before being left in the bog. It's believed that the bog bodies served as offerings to the goddess for a king's inauguration ceremony. My whole life, I have struggled to see things to the end. Sometimes I will get so close to the end of whatever project I work on, and it will just fall apart. There are times where I felt cursed, and this trip to Ireland was important to me for many different reasons, but most of all, it was about proving to myself that I could do it. That I could plan it, live it, document it, and then share it, all by myself. This vlog marks the completion of all of those things, and for the first time, I accomplished a huge undertaking completely on my own. I am always hesitant to call attention to my accomplishments. We're told from a young age to not, and that if you do, you're bragging. I disagree. So right here, right now, I'm saying it loud and proud. I did it, and it was frigging amazing, and I am so proud of myself. It was hard, especially watching footage of myself. At first, all I could do was cringe, but after a while, I started to soften my opinion of the girl on the screen, and I began to really like her. I had a hard time talking to the camera at first. A lot of it was unusable because I talk so slowly and broken, and I often circle my point and never get to it. But I learned to speak from my heart, and I look forward to future trips where I can practice my new skills and continue to work on finding my voice. This is just a little montage of some of my favorite moments from my trip, followed by my final moments in Dublin before I hop in a taxi and began the journey back home. And this marks the end of my daily vlogs of my time in Ireland. But I have lots of plans for what's next, so stay tuned. There will be new videos in a couple of weeks. And so long to Ireland. Thank you for setting the scene for some of the most significant moments in my life to date, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you. And thank you for watching.